I'll be demonstrating a way for our organization to better deal with the enrollments we receive on a day-to-day basis. I'll remind you again that I work for the American Museum of Natural History Seminars and Science program. The program offers 13 online courses in natural physical sciences. My job here varies, but I spend the most time refining and updating our online courses so that they are seamless to navigate and access. Somewhere in between that workflow, I have to assist with the enrollment of the students we want to take our courses. Now, usually this is a pretty seamless process. We have 6 institutions that we partner with so that our students can get graduate credit for our courses. 5 of those 6 partner institutions give their students directions for enrolling in our courses. That process consists of going to learn.amnh.com.org and signing up through our portal, and then filling out an application for graduate credit that gets approved by our partner institutions. One of our partner institutions is Western Governors University. It's a nonprofit online university that offers a convenient, flexible online education. It's the only accredited university in the U.S. offering competency-based online degrees. It requires our students to enroll in courses via their portal, which makes it a little trickier to process these enrollments on our end. Right now, that workflow consists of receiving an automated email, as you can see right there. So we have a bunch of emails that we receive from an automated server on their end. And yeah, we usually let those kind of bunch up and upload them to our learning management system in bulks. To make it a little easier, we already have an Excel sheet. This Excel sheet is the one that we sort of fill out with first, last name, and emails. And we upload that into our learning management system. We use Moodle. The previous coordinator left a workflow for us to expedite this process, but it does require knowledge of Excel formulas, and following each step is proven to be a little time consuming. I kind of want to demonstrate an alternative way to process those bulk enrollments without having to refer or memorize tricky Excel formulas and steps. I'll be using an open source application called Data Extractor. The lovely thing about this application is that it does most of the work for you. Each automated email looks kind of like this. The student listed below has paid for and enrolled in courses offered by your institution through Western Governors University. This student must now be entered in your institution's student information system, etc., etc. Basically, all the information here is pretty irrelevant except for this. You can see right now that we have about 7,000 emails or enrollments to process. Don't worry about that. We've processed most of them already, but I've marked them as unread for demonstration purposes. I also want to mention that we are currently looking at our administrative account. Again, these are our names and emails that belong to real people. So like I said, I'm only doing this for demonstrative purposes, and your discretion is appreciated. So what we usually do first is that we send all these emails as attachments. Right, so I'm going to just take a couple of them here. I'm going to take maybe, yeah, that's good. We take these, and I'm going to send these to myself using my Outlook account. Now this is my account for my organization. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new email message. Actually, I'm just going to do it from the actual web server here. It's the same thing. Yeah, I'll send that over to myself. Right. I'm going to just say Western Governors University enrollments to process, and I'm going to go ahead and drag those in here, and then you can see here that a bunch of emails have been attached. I'm going to send those over to my account. Let that send. Perfect. Okay, now that should pop up over here to my Outlook. Well, It's taking a little bit, but I do have an email that I sent myself earlier. See, you can see here that there are a bunch of emails attached to this. So right now what this is, it's an Outlook email file. So the only program that it can open this is Outlook itself. What we want to do is I'm just going to go hit forward. I'm going to grab all these emails by doing Command A on the Mac. I'm going to copy. And I'm going to put this in my folder, the folder that I sort of designated to put all these enrollments in, called WGU to process. I'm going to paste those in here. Just drag those. It's really funky. Right, so like I said, as you can see, they are Outlook files, so the only program that could open these would be Outlook. Now, a little bit about Data Extractor and why I think it would be a good tool to use in our, at seminars on science is that right now, the way that we do this is we send ourselves a bunch of those emails, a bunch of those bulk enrollments, and then we paste them into an Excel sheet, and we start to apply formulas to isolate the first and last name and then the email. So once we have all that extra content and code from those emails gone, we can then go ahead and copy and paste those names into a comma-separated tab sheet that we'll upload to our learning management system. And that that sheet has a bunch of designated rules that tell the learning management system what course and where specifically that student has to go so that they can take their course without any problems. So we try to do these enrollments every couple of days, but I honestly try to do them every day to avoid having the headache of having to apply a bunch of Excel formulas to isolate the first and last name. And then think about the way that we'll pass this workflow down to future employees, and I think there has to be another way. So a little bit about Data Extractor, and I'll put up the site here because they have a really good breakdown of what their application can do. Basically, it can really allow you to extract data from an unlimited quantity of files, which is what we pretty much have. Yeah, you sort of specify a source to extract from, and I'm going to specify that source as that folder that I created on the desktop called WGU to process. So now for the demonstration. Like I said, I already put some emails in here, and like I mentioned before, they can only be opened right now by Outlook. So we want to change that. We want to make it a little easier for Data Extractor to read those files and extract the data that we need from it. I'm going to go to the terminal here, and it's pretty easy. Or what we're going to do is that we're going to tell the terminal to bulk convert these Outlook files into text files. I'm going to do that by giving it this instruction. So it's going to add the .txt extension to every one of those documents. See how they all changed? Now the icons have all changed because we've changed what kind of files they are. And we don't need to use Outlook to view them and can open them with any text editor we want, which already makes it a little bit more accessible. If we open one, we can see all kinds of irrelevant content in there. We only really need the first and last names and an email address. I wouldn't even know where to find that in here. But now we can use Data Extractor to give it do our job and extract the data that we need. The first thing that you'll see is that it needs a source. So we'll define that source, and that's already the folder on my desktop where I put all those files. From the beginning, which is the WGU to process. So that means it's going to grab only from that source folder. The next thing, I'm going to skip all these because they're irrelevant to what we're doing, is that we're going to give it some extraction rules. I want Data Extractor to grab information on the same line as name and email. So it's going to go into all those crazy files, and it's only going to look for the data that comes after name and email. Now we can use the application's internal database to split that extracted information into two columns. Column 1 will be the name, and column 2 will be the email. And now we can actually export from within the application to Excel, which makes our next step easier. So we already have those extracted files because I already ran it before, but you would do run and then it would grab and then it would split into column 1 and column 2, and you can already see that we've already have that extracted data. Export all those, extracted names and emails into a text file, and I'm gonna make it so that it opens up in Excel. We want column 1 and column 2 because that has both of the things that we need to work with, which is the name and the email. And I'm gonna hit continue, and I'm gonna tell it to save as a comma separated tab because that means that it'll open up in Excel for us. Now that'll be on my desktop, and I'm actually done using data extractor. And voila, we have the names and the emails. So what I have to do now, and it's easy, we could just copy and paste these names and these emails into that sheet that I showed you earlier. Right here, right? First and last name and email, and I could, fill that entire sheet out. Now the great thing about data extractor is that you can save this workflow and reuse it without having to tell it what to do each time you open the application. So all I have to do each time is feed the application new files to extract from. Ideally, if I wanted to, I could process all 7,000 of those emails in a matter of minutes without the need to really, without the need for really complicated formulas or steps. Now, the drawback to this is obviously that we've been relying on application to do the work for us. Applications come and go, and it would be unfortunate to see data extractor gone one day. Actually, I found out after, doing the majority of this screencast that data extractor is no longer open source. You have to buy it. So that in itself has already changed the application and its accessibility to, exponentially. Now, for now, this can definitely serve as an alternative for our Western Governor University enrollments and can improve the workflow for our organization all around. I think it'd be something that our organization would definitely invest in. It allows for more efficiency and time better spent on improving our courses and curriculum.